last game, after the game in my post match, I praised the effort of a few individuals and thought they had an outstanding effort in the game. This game, I can't single anyone out. I think it was an entire team effort that was outstanding. We asked them to be dominant. We asked them to embrace the conditions, embrace the physicality of the opponent, and I think we did that and more. It's hard for me to remember a performance away from home this dominant without getting a result. So yeah, the result hurts, the performance doesn't hurt. I'm proud of the guys, proud of the way they competed. Disappointed to give up the first goal in the fashion that we did from our goal kick and 2 passes, and we give up a goal. That's not how we defend. That's not our style of defending, and that hurts a little bit. And I think overall, we want to change. We want to that dominance in possession. We want to translate that into more chances in front of goal, and that was lacking as well. But it was a dominant away performance without a win. And when I think about the big picture of this, you know, Canada is clearly in first place. We may drop the 3rd place tonight, but we're still in good position in World Cup qualifying, and we want to close out this window with a win at home against Honduras to solidify our position. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. We'll begin with questions and start with Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Greg, first, can you give an update on Tyler Adams having the lead game look like maybe a muscle issue? And second, how do you start to turn some of that possession, some of those attacking movements into more dangerous opportunities and the chances to convert into goals? Thank you.
Yeah, listen, there's not many at this level. There's not many chances in really tight games, right? In difficult games against difficult opponents, that's the greatest question, Paul, and that's the hardest thing to do. You know, I'll also add, and please don't take this as an excuse. Don't take this the wrong way, but I'll also add that we're playing on a very narrow field. It probably has the width of Yankee Stadium, and we're playing on a very poor field turf. So that also translates into some difficulties in processing and creating chances, but that's not an excuse. We still want to be better in front of goal. Regarding Tyler, we think it's a slight hamstring strain, and we have to get more details on it, but that's the initial diagnosis. Chris left the game with a foot injury. We were playing the last 10 minutes down a man. And Walker Zimmerman was held out of the game as a precaution because he had a slight hamstring leading up to the game. He should be fine, though, for next game.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Greg, just to piggyback on Paul a little bit, you know, talk about creating chances and you know, dominating and all that. How much of a concern is the lack of finishing? So, I mean, you can create chances. At some point, you gotta put the net. Also, the early goal, you know, have it came so early. How did that impact the rest of the match for you guys? Thank you.
You know, it was one of those goals that, you know, besides the score line, it didn't impact the game too much. We were on it. We were dominating. We were playing with a lot of physicality, a lot of speed in our play. Canada had a very hard time getting rhythm. And so it was like one of those games similar to Costa Rica where I didn't think the goal affected us too much. We just picked right up and kept going. In terms of the finishing that you're talking about, Doug, I don't think we created that many clear-cut chances that we should have finished off. So, like, I don't think today was an issue of poor finishing. And listen, I can be wrong. I'll watch the tape again. I think it was more of lack of chance creation that I think got us down a little bit, lack of precision in the final third. But overall, again, when we talked about what we needed to do to win this game, we checked almost all the boxes, and that I'm pleased with.
Next will be Grant Wall.
Hi, Greg. What went into the decision to start Johnson Zardes instead of Pepe or somebody else, and how did you think Zardes did today?
That was an easy one, Grant. We knew what the game was going to look like. We knew it's a very narrow field, small field. We knew it was going to be a very physical game, and we thought that Gyasi would give us that physicality. And from looking at his performance, I think he did that. Again, I don't think we got him enough service in the box to get him dangerous. He's good on crosses. but he certainly gave them a hard time both on and off the ball.
Next will be Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Piggybacking a little bit on that, is there a clear striker on this team, or are you going to continue to have to rotate guys in and out depending on performance and form? Where do you think things stand at that position now?
Again, I think that all these opponents are different. All of them bring different elements, and we'll pick the best striker that we think can get the job done in that particular game. So it will be a game plan specific striker. Now, Ricardo's a player that just went over to Germany. He's just breaking in there, and I'm sure he's going to have a long runway with the national team, and it's just about getting him confidence and getting him game time at the highest level, and I think he'll eventually do that. With Jesus and Gyasi, they're not in season yet, so it's hard to really see the form that they're in to say, okay, this is the guy who's going to be leading the line for 3 games in a row. So part of it is game plan specific, and part of it is the form of our strikers that we're choosing other guys for other games.
Next will be Sam Stejskal.
Thank you, Michael. Greg, Canada came out with a very physical approach and maintained it all game. You sort of touched on it initially, but what did you think of that approach from them, and how do you think you guys handled it?
Well, they couldn't handle our physicality, Sam. That's plain and simple. We were running them all over the pitch. And when you look at duels won, when you look at our pressing, they had a very, very hard time dealing with what we were giving them. So, I think we dealt with it more than all right. Again, when you're talking about the size of the pitch, when you're talking about a small pitch, purposely lined to be 70 yards wide or 69 yards wide, it makes it more combative. But I think we dealt with it well.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hey, Greg, as you look ahead and you try to judge where you stand in qualifying, is it simply win the last 2 home games and it's in, or is your calculus different? And with the forecast for Minnesota on Wednesday now below 0, is it still 100% that the game's going to be there?
So regarding World Cup qualifying, in the big picture, as I mentioned, our focus right now is finishing off the window with a win against El Salvador. We know it's easier said than done, but that's going to be our goal. That's going to be our focus. If we can do that, we'll be in good position. And then it's about going into the last window and getting results. And, we're confident we have a team that can do that. Regarding Minnesota, I haven't checked the latest temperatures, but as far as I'm concerned, the field is good, and it's a green light.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Hey, Greg. You had some transition opportunities at times. It seemed you guys were reluctant to really kind of go at them and settle for passing square or backwards. I mean, why don't you think your team was more aggressive in some of those opportunities?
I agree with that, Jeff. I think that was one of the talks at halftime was when we win the ball in good positions, can we get forward? And some of it had to do with maybe the passing angle to a teammate. They thought it was too risky of a pass, but we're certainly in positions at times where we could have been more aggressive in offensive transition, and we didn't capitalize on it.
Next will be Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Hey, Greg, just looking at Canada, obviously they've played you guys twice now. They have a win over Mexico, and they're top of this table, and this is really all new for them. They're a team that's grown immensely over this cycle. So what is it that's allowed them to do that? They're in these games where they aren't necessarily dominating the ball or having the better of the play, but how have they kind of pulled it off to go to where they are now?
Yeah, I don't think they dominated much of anything tonight, to be honest. But give them a lot of credit for their resiliency. And one thing that separates Canada from most of the other teams in the group is the quality of their strikers and their ability to finish a really small amount of chances. They didn't have many chances in this game, but they're able to finish it off. And that first one is a great example. It's a play out of nothing that 2 quality players make and gives them the win. So you know, they deserve credit for that. They've been doing it. They've been resilient all qualifying window. They're leading the group for a reason because of that. And, you know, again, wish them well in all the rest of their games.
We are leaving tonight, so we will take 2 more questions for Gregg. Next will be Henry Bushnell.
Hey Greg, appreciate your time. Sorry if I missed this earlier. I got in a bit late, but did you? What did you see on the goal? What was the reason for it? And I guess the second part of that, did you guys at all consider not playing goal kicks down the middle of the field just because it was cold and because of the conditions?
I don't think cold affects goal kicks too much. You know, there was a bit of wind there, and I think it might have been a little bit of a mishit by Matt that the defender got the read on and had a nice long clearance. And then from there, it was a 1-2 combination, and they got around us. I still think it's avoidable, but you know, give them credit. It was a good finish by Laren, and you know, he's been scoring all window. He scored against us in the first game. He was a quality player.
Last question goes to Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thank you, Michael. Greg, it does go back to the striker question. I know you've talked a little bit about you know, the group that you have here, and maybe you could expand a little on whether you're satisfied with it, but also on a broader perspective, I think it's only 3 of the goals that this team has scored in qualifying has come from a striker, in quotes, so far. Obviously, there's a lot of players who have scored goals, but is that tally from the striker pool specifically satisfactory for you?
You know, I would have to go back, Jonathan, and look at the chances that they're getting and see how they're converting them. But overall, we know that generally we create chances for our striker with our game model, and we believe that we have quality guys that can finish them off. You know, scoring goals is the hardest thing to do, but I'm confident the group was going to get it right. And you know, we have another opportunity on Wednesday to work on that, but it's not, you know, to me, it's not an issue. I think we look at the whole team. We look at the whole team of how we're moving the ball, and how we're getting into dangerous areas.